Hey sports fans, Coach Nick here and welcome to B-Ball Breakdown. Don't miss our post-game show immediately after Game 2 of the Spurs-Warriors game on Wednesday night. It promises to be a great series with lots of intriguing matchups. Now, let's look at Carmelo Anthony as he's going up against the Indiana Pacers. Understand this, the Pacers are one of the top defenses and well-coached teams in the NBA, and they've been preparing for Carmelo, so you need to be able to get good shots. Mike Woodson seems to be having a little trouble calling the right amount of plays and the right specific plays to get him those good shots, and Carmelo hasn't adjusted. He's shooting awfully for the playoffs as it is, and you throw in the defensive mistakes that he makes that are completely unnecessary, and that means to me that the Knicks have no chance of winning the series. Melo began the night getting a great look in transition. Inexplicably, the Pacers defense never picked him up. Unfortunately for Melo, this miss was a bad sign. When Carmelo Anthony and Tyson Chandler run a pick and roll, it's almost guaranteed a good shot since Chandler's man Roy Hibbert will sag back so far. However, Paul George is long and athletic and can come from behind to bother this mid-range shot. Melo was aggressive early, and again in transition, Indiana does not pick him up. But they have a terrific basket defender in Hibbert who is able to make life very difficult for Melo. The Knicks have been running horns with Melo at the elbow. If they initiate the offense to his side, they like to have Chandler set a screen for him. This is very hard to defend so close to the hoop, and when Hibbert kept one eye on the rolling Chandler, Melo was able to score over him. This is something the Knicks must do more often for two reasons. A, because he's cold-blooded efficient from there, and B, Melo at the elbow just sounds good. Another simple but great set the Knicks need to run much more often is the high post split with Melo in the corner. As Felton feeds the high post, he sets a down screen for Melo where he can curl tight to the basket or flare for the easy mid-range shot. The Knicks were able to take advantage of the Pacers hedging high on the screen and roll by slipping Melo to the basket. While he gets the initial shot blocked, he got such deep penetration it became an easy putback. The Knicks must have Melo screen the ball more often to free him up. There will be times that David West will guard Carmelo. However, jacking up an early three-pointer from out on top is the last thing we should see from an ISO on West. You can see how the other four defenders are in prime position to stop any kind of drive, so the Knicks must get Melo to the wing or baseline for an ISO. Here's a better example of Melo isolating on West from the wing, and he blows right by him. But Indiana knows he is unlikely to pass the ball off near the rim, so Hibbert can freely leave his man to roam the lane and block the shot. The key for Melo in the post is to execute his move on the catch before Hibbert can get there to help. The Pacers' adjustment would be to double him on the catch from the baseline and dare the Knicks to make a three-pointer with the defender closing out on him. With a big lead, the Pacers felt like they could get away with Tyler Hansbrough on Melo, but this simply won't work. They'd be better off putting Hansbrough on Kidd and keep Paul George guarding Melo. Off the sideline out of bounds, they isolate Melo on the elbow, and this is something the Knicks need to do 5 times a game. Melo is at his most dangerous when he can face up one dribble away from the hoop and destroy his defender. It took too long for the Knicks to get back to this high screen and roll with Tyson Chandler. The Pacers kept letting Melo use the screen, and there is no way Hibbert can handle Melo when he attacks from the perimeter and pulls up for the open jumper. In the too little too late category, they run the pick and roll even higher, and Melo has a wide open look because Hibbert continues to sag. If you're having shooting difficulties like Carmelo has been in the playoffs, the one thing that you can do is help your team on defense. However, Melo has never really shown the aptitude to do that well, but I'm going to show you some completely egregious mistakes that he makes that basically cost you the game if you're not going to shoot better from the field. Getting back on defense, Melo runs alongside his man David West for several steps, then inexplicably runs to the Pacers point guard George Hill, even though Felton is pointing that he has him and telling Melo to get his man David West. It happens again in the third quarter when Melo is in position to pick up David West, turns his head, and completely loses him. After doubling, Shumpert is forced to guard West in the post, and it ends badly for him. In another egregious mistake by Melo, he has no reason to pick up Hibbert in transition. Tyson Chandler is right there. In a game where Melo got into foul trouble, this needless foul is the kind of thing that costs you games in the playoffs. At this point, Melo has 5 fouls, but Woodson needs him in the game with a big deficit to overcome. However, he can't just back up and let West catch the ball so close to the rim. With one last chance to make a run, watch how Melo falls asleep on the weak side and lets West flash to the middle for the score. This has nothing to do with 5 fouls and everything to do with bad defense. So there you have it, sports fans. There were a number of shots that Carmelo missed that I have no doubt he'll probably end up making in the next game or two and get the Knicks ship righted on offense. But when you look at the defensive issues that he has, and it's not just him, by the way, a lot of the team makes those mistakes, there's no way they're going to beat the Pacers in a 7-game series. You can't afford to make mistakes like picking up the wrong guy or not picking up your man in transition. It's a simple thing you need to know by now, and if you're not executing that, then you're not going to win. Well, thanks for joining us. Don't miss our post-game show coming up on Wednesday night after the Warriors versus Spurs. And don't forget, at B-Ball Breakdown, we're not a channel, we're a conversation. You in?